Lisbon will surprise you. When I took my first walk through one of the city's parks, the Praça Principal, I realized that in front of me stood a remarkable tree, an old cedar that just seemed to go on and on and on. Standing closer, I discovered the intricate ironwork that supported all those branches. No end to the surprises, though. When I could finally pull myself away from the tree, I walked past the park's fountain, and then I came upon a mysterious set of stairs leading underground, and I thought, why not explore? I found myself in a space that used to be a reservoir, once feeding water from Lisbon's main aqueduct to the surrounding neighborhoods. Now it's part of the city's water museum, and it also hosts art exhibits. I walked through a multimedia event with framed digital art, burbling electronic music, and a video slideshow. At times I felt as if I were back in one of the worlds of Myst, that addictive computer game whose mazes challenged my limited cleverness. It also reminded me of the H.G. Wells's The Time Machine, where underground the Morlocks worked on machinery in the dark, all the while planning another raid on the yummy Eloy. That last thought must have followed me, because when I climbed the stairs and returned to the park, another surprise. A performance group's latest gig was in full swing, with creepy, Morlock-looking creatures hunching along the lawn. Time to make a quick exit. I did some research and found out that the reservoir at the Praça was part of a collection of 4 separate museums spread across the city of Lisbon. I decided to search out the others. The main space is a former steam pumping station, which also presents art shows, though it's awfully hard not to be dwarfed by the art of the machines. It all seems very, well, steampunk, very 19th century eerie, with machines that could have a perfectly mundane function, or they could be supplying a bracing dose of electricity to Frankenstein. From there I made my way to the aqueduct, which transported water from the countryside to the city's reservoirs. Soaring across Lisbon's Alcântara Valley, the aqueduct is so well built it survived the Great Lisbon earthquake of 1755. The walkway was closed in the mid-19th century following the gruesome handiwork of Diogo Alves, the aqueduct serial killer, and a Spanish immigrant, the Portuguese like to point out. After strangling his victims, Alves threw them over the side. It's a long way down. He killed 76 people in one summer alone, a staggering number that finally clued in the police that this was no mere rash of suicides. He was eventually caught and hanged in 1841, the last time a person was condemned to death in Portugal. Learning about Diogo Alves sent me to the Medical Museum of the University of Lisbon, where you can find display cases of old medical instruments, a huge model of the bones of a foot, various preserved body parts, and the severed head of Diogo Alves floating in a jar. After he was hanged, his head was cut off and studied by scientists of the time to try to understand the nature of his evil. Not the most pleasant story to think about if you're strolling these aqueduct corridors over a century and a half later. You get the feeling you're not quite sure if someone might be lurking behind you or perhaps is waiting right around a corner. Then someone jumps out, and it's this guy. The last part of the water museum is Mai de Agua, the largest reservoir in the system. In the middle of it, a wooden stage floats, where concerts and various performances are held. Musicians especially like the ample acoustics, which are filled with echoes. The art exhibit on display the day I visited featured a series of photos taken of terminally ill people a month before their deaths and then just after. They served as a haunting counterpart to the clear flowing water, the high windows luminous with light. One of those photographed was a woman born on the exact day, month, and year that I was. Feeling the wings of death brushing by a little too closely, I decided to climb the steps up to the roof and take in the city's beautiful living panorama. Everyone seemed so far away. Then I looked down and saw the welcome sight of life simply going on. A worker bent down and chipping away at a stone before fitting it into the sidewalk. But wait, there's more. Just as I was finishing this video, I heard of a new performance at Mai de Agua called Teatro de Agua. 32 fountains programmed to create water sculptures in the air.